I've been posting about the prophetic dreams that God sent me, and this video will cover prophetic dreams 4 and 6. Prophetic dream 5, there's enough that I've already said about that one that's going to be its own video. So prophetic dream 4, God knows I have a certain number of proofs I would need to discern whether the message is from Him or from a deceiving spirit. And He knows my number, and He only knows my numbers. So when He got to 6, He just kind of brushed His hands off and gave it to me. I didn't even realize it was a prophetic dream. Okay, so 4. Before I had prophetic dream 4, I made the next video that I'm going to show you. I was trying to get rid of my son's old toys. He moved out of the house. He had never let me throw away any of his childhood toys, but when he moved out of the house, he said he didn't want anything that was still here, and I could get rid of it all. So I'm thrilled, and I want to get rid of all these toys that are in this house, and I posted the following video. I am still working on trying to figure out how to get rid of my son's things. And I used to belong to 2 email groups called free cycle groups, where you could just post your local things you wanted to get rid of, and anybody could come and take them from your porch. And then I belonged to 2 Facebook groups that were the same way. When you had stuff to give away for free, local people would see it and say they're interested and arrange to come get it. Now any of those things are working. So I tried posting on Nextdoor, but so far I have nothing. So I posted this kids basketball set and bowling set, and I showed the basketball set short and tall. And I tried to post about these train DVDs, all for free, and I'm not getting any response. So how do you give away your free stuff? As you may imagine from that video, my love language is gifts. I like to give gifts. I like to receive gifts. I wasn't trying to profit off my son's things or sell them in any way. I just wanted to give them away. And those train DVDs were actually literally bait, because we had trains out the wazoo. And so I posted those train DVDs knowing what sort of parent of a child it would snag. And I got a prophetic dream from God, and I didn't even have time to report it before it came true. So here's the video I made about that. I think this is prophetic dream number 4, and it happened so fast and was fulfilled so fast I couldn't post about it ahead of time. But I had a dream that God was a lion and I was the nagging flea on God's back. So I spent all morning crying about that, about being a flea. And God said, "Don't worry, I am sending you help. I am sending you your equal." And in my faulty way, I thought, how is that possible? And while I was getting my bath and crying about being a flea, I got 2 text messages that I thought would be from the pharmacy, but they weren't. They were from a woman who wanted to know if I still had my train DVDs. And then the second text had been her saying, "And do you have any train toys and Legos?" And I thought, oh, a woman like me who likes to give and give gifts. And she asked and I said, yes, I had all those things in abundance. And when could she come and get them? And we made arrangements. And she asked me if I needed anything. And I said, toilet paper! Because, of course, my neighbor failed to take me to Walmart today. And she brought me the toilet paper. She took an entire truckload of toys off my hands for her grandson. And even in her failing health and my failing health, we got all that stuff out of there, plus clothes, and that is all out of the way. Plus I got toilet paper, I got clothes, and she gave me all the cash she had on hand. So there is that woman who is my equal, who likes to give and get gifts.
In all these prophetic dreams, there are dream elements, and then there's God. And in that nagging flea on God's back dream, it may have been my own mind telling me I'm a nagging flea. God and I are pretty close, and I don't know if God would call me a nagging flea. He might, and that could have been from him, but his actual words, the words he spoke, was, "Don't worry. I'm sending you your equal." And I knew it was prophetic because it had that overpowering awesomeness of God that brings fear in a dream. And I knew that was a direct message from God. And I just thought, no way. So that woman, sure, she took that train video bait, hook, line, and sinker, exactly the way I meant for it to work. I couldn't believe it. I got rid of a Thomas table that was taking up my living room. I got rid of 10 years of wooden Thomas trains and tracks. I got rid of the Lego Duplo Thomas stuff I had. I filled up the entire back of her pickup truck that she brought. And she was sure at first that, because she had health problems like I do, that she couldn't possibly carry that table out. And I said, no, it doesn't weigh anything. It's practically cardboard. And I picked it up with 2 fingers and told her about my health problems. And I live on just $83 a week. So she recognized right away how impoverished I was. The reason we had these toys was because I used to make a lot more. And my son had one set of grandparents until he was, 4 or 5. So he had one set of grandparents. Well, he had both grandparents until he was maybe 4 or 5. And then his grandfather died too. His grandmother died when he was maybe 3. And I'm from an older family. My mom had me at an old age, so I didn't really have grandparents. And her mom had her at an old age, so she had grandparents for a limited time. And then I had my son at an old age, so he also lacks grandparents. But this woman came and took so much stuff. She took 3 plastic bins of Legos. She took the wooden and Lego Duplo Thomas stuff. So there were battery-operated trains that had plastic track. We still have train stuff. My son is autistic. He's really into trains and track. I guess autistic kids like the predictability of a train going down a track, and it can't just go any which way. It follows the track. And so that was all good, healthy play for my son. But he's 20 years old now. He doesn't need that. And he said specifically he didn't want it. So I got rid of it. That was prophetic dream number 4. And that was just wonderful that woman came. And I didn't expect anything in return. And she was so happy to give me things. And because I like to give gifts, there was no way I was refusing her gifts, because we that like to give and give gifts, we great joy from that. And part of the joy comes from knowing how much time and effort and thought went into that. And I told her I put those train videos out there as bait, trying to find somebody with a kid who was obsessed with trains. And she said, I saw the trains and I hoped you had trains. And she was so happy to get that stuff for her grandson. And I was so happy to get rid of that stuff, because neither of my sons are having any kids. So that's in plenty of time to go to Walmart on Monday with my neighbor if he's able to go. And I had a dream about going to Walmart with him. And we started to drive away from my house. And he said, oh, I'm thirsty. I'm going to stop and get a drink. And so he went down in my town to stop at a mall that's 35 minutes away from here. And he went in, and I said, oh, I wanted to check out what's in the mall too. I'll just go in the same exit he went in. And I found him in there in a casino, because that's where he was. So skipping over for now, prophetic dream number 5. This was my final prophetic dream. And I think God was dusting off his nails and blowing them off, and here you go. He didn't come at me with power and force like he did in 4 and 5 and 3 and 2 and 1. He just gave me a really funny dream. And you wouldn't appreciate how funny this dream was unless you lived in my town, which is a small, compact, rural town. And my van died of rust a few years ago. So I've made arrangements with a neighbor that lives 2 houses away that he takes me to Walmart to get my groceries. And I just mentioned about the dream at the end of that video. And I'm not going to post the whole video, just the part where I mentioned him taking me. What the dream actually was everything was like in real life. He picked me up like normal. I went out, I got in his SUV. We started to drive off. He said he wanted to stop and get a drink. He's done that before. When he did it in real life, he went to a convenience store, ran in, got a can of a drink, and then that was his drink. And I had mentioned, they have drinks at Walmart. Like they have refrigerators of drinks right by the registers, so you could get a drink in there. But anyway, so he said he was stopping for a drink. I didn't think anything of that. And then he turned a few blocks down from my house, where that's kind of a residential business area. And where he parked his car was right where there's a Catholic church and what used to be a Catholic school there, and in between the house where the priest lives. And he stopped there to go in a mall that's 40 minutes away from my house. Now, this was the funny part of the dream, because in real life, no mall would fit in my town. My entire town could not hold a mall if they tore down all the houses, all the businesses. That mall would not fit in this town. And I've only been to that mall maybe 5 times in my entire life, because it's not the local mall for this area. So I thought it was strange that of all the malls I could have dreamed of, I dreamed of that mall that I never go to. And he went in to the mall. He said, I'll be right back. I'm going to get my drink. And I sat there in his SUV and I thought, I haven't been to this mall in a long time, because I haven't. And I thought I would like to see what's in there. I'll just go stand inside the entrance that he went in. That way I won't miss him when he comes back out. And I went in and I stood inside the entrance and I looked around, and it was kind of a poor entrance. You couldn't see much of the mall from the entrance. You could only see like maybe 2 businesses. And then I looked to my left where like the anchor store would be. And there was a casino, which I had no idea there was any casino at that mall, because I don't go to that mall. And there's my neighbor standing in the casino. Well, I thought that was funny, because in real life, my neighbor that takes me shopping is a casino dealer. That's what he does for a living, is he works in a casino. Because the first time he ever took me, he had checked me out on Facebook to see who I was. And he wasn't sure I would approve of what he does for a living. And I said I really didn't care what he does for a living. I just needed a ride. And I needed somebody to not smoke around me because of my asthma and many, many other health problems. And so I thought that was funny that he was standing in the casino, and I didn't think much of it. And then he saw me and just marched over to me and escorted me out without saying a word. And I continued telling a story I'd been telling about my life on the way there. And I thought, oh my gosh, he's managing me. I'm being a pest, and he is placating me. And he escorted me out to his SUV, put the key in the accessory position, turned on the radio for me and said, I'll just be 1 minute. And he went running back in the mall. And I didn't tell the neighbor that part of the dream. But when I went to Walmart with him the next time, I said, you wouldn't believe this. I posted this TikTok about a dream that I had about you. It was about my SNAP benefits being canceled and my week-long struggle to get them put back in place. Now, that wasn't an income problem. I make less than half of what you can make to get food stamps. I am exceedingly poor. And so they had cut off my food stamps because the post office sent the form so slowly that I didn't get it until 2 days after it was due back. And that was during a time when I didn't have a cell phone. And I was I was literally begging for money to buy a cell phone. And a lot of people told me about the Lifeline program that I'm already on that gives you one phone for life. So I spent a lot of time explaining to people that they have to read the fine print on those programs. They do not give everyone a free cell phone. The one I was using was a free cell phone from them. They don't give you another one. And to even get one in the first place, you have to have a phone to call them. And I was completely without a phone. I started making TikToks with just photographs that I had on my computer and used those still photographs to put text over them and music so that I could ask for money to buy a cell phone. And eventually, enough of my TikTok friends helped me out so that I was able to get the cell phone I'm using to make these YouTube videos. I couldn't make these YouTube videos with that old phone. So now I have a phone capable of making longer videos. Holy freaking moly, you won't believe this. I went to Walmart with my neighbor today, and if you watched my entire video about getting my food stamps restored, at the very end of it, I mentioned a funny dream I had about that neighbor, us going to Walmart, him going to get a drink on the way, which he has done before in real life, so that wasn't weird. What was funny about that dream was that the mall that we parked at is nowhere near our town. It wouldn't fit in our town, and it's a mall that I've been to less than 5 times in my entire life. It is not the normal mall for this area. And then I had no idea that mall had a casino. So I start telling my neighbor about this dream and how silly it is, thinking he's just going to get a good laugh about it because he understands how absurd this dream is. But he started getting excited right away. You won't believe this, he said. You won't believe this. You won't believe this. Last time when he took me to Walmart and he dropped me off, I was wondering why he didn't take his trash can, because his trash can had rolled down the hill to my yard and somebody stuck it in my grass. And I told him, get your trash can. He didn't get his trash can. This week, he did. I got him to take it this week. But last time, he said he was rushing to pick up his son, who is grown, so that they could go to that mall, to the casino at it, to gamble. I didn't even know that mall had a casino. So now apparently I'm spying on my neighbors in my sleep. I do not want to know what my neighbors are doing when I am not with them. I do not want to know. This is not information I need. But he got so excited when he heard about my dream because that was exactly where he was going and what he was doing. And I dreamed about it. I honestly just thought that was a funny dream. After the neighbor told me I had described the entrance he used perfectly, that there was in fact a casino in that mall, and that was where he had gone the week before, but of course never mentioned it to me, I had to stop and think, why would God want me to see that? And I think God made the dream so casual and funny for me because he knew with that dream he was meeting my exact number. That dream finished it. There's no more proof I need for myself that these dreams are from God. I know for a fact they're from God because when I wrote down all the things mentioned in each of the dreams and numbered them to see what had come true from each dream, that was it. That met my number. And you have never met anybody more interested in my dreams now than my neighbor who takes me to Walmart. If there's one person that knows I have interesting dreams, it's him, because I described what he did to a T. And I hadn't been with him and he hadn't told me about it because we don't talk other than arranging the ride and going and coming back and thanking each other. And then that's it. I don't see him again for 2 weeks until it's time to go again. That's the only time we talk to each other is when when he's going to be giving me a ride to Walmart. So that dream was about him. And I think God wanted me to see what he was up to because a couple times I left my purse at my register to go pay for some of his food. And I asked him to keep an eye on my purse. I had another neighbor who was a gambling addict who was a thief. So now, if this guy works as a casino dealer and spends all his off time at another casino, I shouldn't have asked him to keep an eye on my purse. Now, it wouldn't matter because there's no money in it and nothing of any value other than my makeup, and tissues and hand sanitizer and extra masks. There's nothing really for him to take. He doesn't have time to make a copy of my house key. And I have my wallet in my hand as I'm paying for his groceries. And before you tell me that's illegal, you're allowed to buy food with food stamps. That's the way that works. And you don't have to eat the food you buy. You can buy food for others. And I've had a gastric cancer for about 20 years, and I don't need all the food that I'm capable of buying. So that works out. That's a nice arrangement. I don't buy him much, but it certainly makes it worthwhile for his gas.